Hold on. Hi, everybody. Ah, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm just getting a barrage of text messages now from people telling me that I'm live on Instagram. Hello, I know I'm live on Instagram. You don't have to text me to let me know. I know what I'm doing. How are you?
I'm good. Listen, 1 in 5 mothers is describing her children under 12 as being hungry. I'm great.
Oh my gosh.
Context.
That really puts a pretty fine point on it, doesn't it?
Context. How are you? Okay, so everybody, Sarah Cooper, just the most amazing artist and author and comedian, and she's published books. I highly recommend. She's hilarious. Everything from tricks to look smart in a meeting to how to be a successful woman and not hurt men's feelings.
It's impossible. Right?
And then what you've done most recently in terms of just your mastery of character and whoever is the subject.
Or lack of character.
Or lack of character is a better, yeah, is better.
Thank you so much. I want to know if you remember taking this picture with me. This is my mother-in-law's fridge, and it has a picture of you, me, and my husband, and we were in New York last May.
I remember it quite well. Kenneline, a friend, hosted a wonderful gathering, and you were there with your husband. And yes. I remember it quite well. And can you imagine how much has happened since last May?
Yes, because I was trying to figure out when this picture was taken, and I was like, I think it was January. It must have been January, but no, it was last May.
It was last May. It was over a year ago.
It was over a year ago, which it just seems like I don't know, just yesterday. I mean, how has it been for you?
You know, this is a scary time, and I'm here in DC. We just had thunderstorms and a thunder flash flood warning. On top of on top of the natural disaster in the White House.
Yeah.
We are dealing with, we need to get a relief package. I'm fighting for the HEROES Act because the unemployment benefits that we generated are going to end at the end of this month in 9 days. So working on that.
I just saw Ted Cruz saying it's just crazy how people are getting paid more to stay home than they would be at their jobs. And it's like, yes, Ted, because people aren't being paid enough at their jobs. And it's like in this roundabout way, we've gotten to universal basic income, but it's unemployment.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And for before the pandemic, it was well established that the cost of living keeps going up and has been going up for decades while wages have remained stagnant. Yeah. And so that's exactly right. The point there should be figure this out, which is that we're actually not paying people enough.
Exactly. So my question to you is, if you are in an elevator and you see Ted Cruz coming, do you hit the closed door button? Like, how fast do you hit that closed door button? Because I just can't imagine how quickly you probably hit it, because I would hit it immediately.
Well, thanks to the pandemic, I hit it really quickly because you can't have really more than two. You shouldn't have more than 2 people on those little elevators in the Senate. So
diplomatic.
There is a good.
It's due to the pandemic. It's not because of Ted Cruz and how awful he is. It's because of the pandemic. Sorry, Ted. No room on this elevator. So in the Senate, are people wearing masks?
You know what I noticed today, Sarah? I'm on the Senate Homeland Security Committee and a number of others, but we had a big meeting today. Everyone was wearing a mask at one point or another, not all at the same time. But I think that, sadly, the president made it a partisan issue, right? As though health should be a partisan issue. I'm going to stay healthy. You're not if you actually are going to vote for me, which is ridiculous.
Right.
And now he has shifted gears because his polling numbers are dropping.
Yeah.
And I guess everybody got word, okay, it's okay to wear a mask in a public health pandemic with one of the most contagious viruses we've ever seen.
Well, it's so interesting you call it a partisan issue, because to me, it's for him personally, he doesn't like how he looks in a mask. He feels that wearing a mask is a sign of failure somehow. This is my my belief. And so because he doesn't like it, he's decided other people shouldn't do it. And his poll numbers have gotten bad enough to where he's put his ego aside for a second to recommend masks. But it's like we are at the whim of his ego.
But so you obviously, as part of your incredible talent, you study your subject.
Yeah.
So so tell us, like, what is it with this guy? What have you figured out? What's going on there?
Well, one thing I've noticed, and I think you maybe have already noticed this too, is that he's kind of talking to himself. He doesn't really care who's listening. He's sort of like has this narrative and it comes out of his mouth, and it may be true, it may not be true, but as soon as he hears it come out of his mouth, he almost responds to that thing he just said. And it's this loop. It's this loop between him and himself. And I think I actually mess up sometimes in my videos because it actually looks like I'm talking to somebody. He doesn't care what people are responding to or not responding to. He thinks everything he says is great, no matter who's listening or not listening. He doesn't have the thing I have where it's like, I'm constantly like, are you still listening to me? Are you still listening to me? Like, he doesn't have that, So that's what I did kind of in my last video, where he's kind of like, there's like these two different sides of him, and he's kind of just having this conversation with himself, and it's scary. He's scary.
Right, because you're right. It's not a conversation. He's not at all interested in what the other person in a conversation thinks. He's not interested in their perspective. He's not interested in feedback. That seems clear. Yeah. Or receiving information about security threats to the nation. I mean, none of that does it appear that he's interested in. Yeah.
I know. And I had this joke in my stand-up about how the thing I hate most about Donald Trump as president is he's exactly the kind of president I would be. Because I'm never prepared for meetings either, but like my meetings are dumb. His meetings are important. Like, he should read his presidential daily briefing. There's a reason I'm not president. Someone like me shouldn't be president. And I guess that's the other thing I wanted to ask you about, is that you are so qualified and overqualified, and I look forward to going to your inauguration someday. I really do. I want to know, how do we get away from voting for people based on personality and likability and ability to dance and ability to, I don't know, just entertain? Like, how do we get away from that and start voting for people based on experience and competence and ability to lead?
I mean, we start doing it by voting for Joe Biden in 4 months. And, look, I mean, it's very obvious he's taken some criticism for it, but he's not about performance art. He's about having real conversations that are substantive, that are engaging, that are connected with what people, to your point, are actually saying, hearing it, and then giving feedback and addressing the issues that people care about. So you're absolutely right. And it also has to be about, I think, the elections going forward, given this pandemic and the crisis of this pandemic, 140,000 people who have lost their lives in just the last few months, people who are still standing in food lines for hours. Mm-hmm. Like I said, 1 in 4 mothers having a child under the age of 12 who was hungry. I do believe that the people are going to require more from their leaders than they ever have before, because they see the role that government can play, either to mess things up or to support or lift people up. Yeah. And, we have many sayings. There's one saying, I'm too busy watching what you're doing to hear what you're saying, right? And I think that's where voters are, which is, what action are you actually taking? What action are you prepared to take, as opposed to just giving some lovely speech and grand gestures? Yes. But the entertainment piece of it is still, it still lingers. And
I mean, you feel that, right? I mean, you feel that and I think Hillary Clinton felt it as well, of just having to smile, being told to smile even when she didn't want to smile. And all women are told to smile all the time. The thing I love about you is that you have a smile where it's not really a smile. It's almost like a death glare. It's all like when you're interrogating someone, you can smile, but it's like a okay, yeah, I see what you're trying to do here. I see this little game that you're playing, and you're smiling, but it's almost like you almost don't want Kamala Harris to smile at you, because that means that she's coming after you, which I love. I love that.
I just, but this is the thing, Sarah, when I'm in these hearings, it's just like, I'm listening to you talk. I'm listening to these people talk. And sometimes what they're saying just actually makes no sense. And if you're actually listening to your point, if you're actually listening to people as opposed to looking at your script and being in your head about your performance, you will hear profound inconsistencies. You will hear a lot of, sometimes a ton of BS. And so when I sit there, I'm thinking of, what would you be thinking? What would anybody who's on right now or Instagram, what would they be thinking about? Like, what answer do they want? Because they're paying attention too. People are smarter than I think sometimes people in elected office, give credit. And yeah.
So are you going to be the vice president?
I am going to do whatever I can to support Joe Biden to be the next president of the United States. And I sincerely mean that. Every and anything I can do. I mean, there is so much at play right now.
If you are, let's say you are, there's so many norms that Donald Trump has broken. Are there laws now that we can put in place so that the next person who is crazy like him doesn't take advantage of everything that we just took for granted in terms of the emoluments or everything that he's doing that just other people just didn't do because you don't do those things, but there's no law against it. There's no rule against it.
Yeah, no, we've been relying on norms. One could say that actually there are two ways we could go with this. One could say that the framers, the founders, have been a lot of talk about that recently, who they actually were. But putting that piece aside, the framers of our Constitution and the founders of our nation did anticipate that there might be a Donald Trump as president. Right. And so that's why we designed a democracy with 3 co-equal branches of government, with the ability to do things like have a process by which there might be an impeachment, or there's oversight, and obviously a separate court who can overrule decisions that the executive has made if they're unconstitutional, or the Congress who can cut off the purse strings. But there are also traditions and norms that people have relied on forever as though they are law and rules, and this guy just breaks them, and everyone is dumbfounded because they never expected that there would be that kind of approach to this job. So I have no doubt that when he's out of office, there's probably going to be real significant movement to codify, meaning to make in the code, to make statutes, to make laws out of what otherwise were norms and kind of traditions. Yeah. But we have to win first.
We have to win first.
We have to win first. And there is no guarantee. I'm so concerned about all the polling that suggests, oh, this is looking good. 4 months in an election cycle is a really, really long time.
Oh, I know.
And, the kind of effort that especially state legislatures and also, this president have been making to suppress the vote, to make people distrustful of the voting process, we're going to have to fight against that, because that's real. That's real. And if people think that their vote doesn't matter, they won't vote. But the people who have most at stake have got to vote.
Yes, but sometimes the people with the most at stake can't vote because they don't have the means to vote. So it's really on the people that we have the means to vote. We need to do it. And, John Lewis gave his entire life so that Black people could have the right to vote. And so when someone like Kanye West, who's never voted at all, comes along, I mean, it's so frustrating to me, because John Lewis stood for so much about giving people the right to vote. And so if you can do it, you have to do it. And the fact is, we are at a point where one vote can make a difference. That's exactly. I mean, it really can. Exactly. So you can't stay home. You have to vote for the person who has to stay home with their kids and can't make it, or is disabled and can't get to the polls, or the person who is disenfranchised. You have to vote for those people who don't get a chance for whatever reason. And I feel like really, really strongly about that. I just, to switch gears, my husband wrote a joke for us, and I wanted to tell you this joke.
Hey, let me hear it.
Okay, so the joke is, what do you get when you combine the leadership of Kamala Harris with the humor of Sarah Cooper?
Oh my. Okay, come on, everybody, weigh in. What do you guys think? Come on. Everyone's in this.
Anybody?
What do you get? What do you here? I think they're catching up on the voting piece. Okay, come on. What's the answer to the joke? Okay, ask it one more time.
Okay, the joke is, what do you get when you combine the leadership of Kamala Harris with the humor of Sarah Cooper? No one's going to get it.
No, okay, what is it?
The answer is, you get one whole Jamaican.
You know, I suspected that maybe where I'm going.
Because we're both, well, my whole family's from Jamaica. I'm Jamaican. You're part Jamaican.
Yes.
Yes.
Very much.
We're probably related somehow.
Oh, I have no doubt.
Yeah.
It's a very big country on a small island.
Exactly.
It's ferocious and yeah, that's funny. Is he a comedian?
He's the funniest person that I know. He's the funniest
really?
person. But his humor does veer into the I would say offensive / dark / people might someday fire him because of it. You know, like that kind of humor. I'm more the mainstream. He's more the like edgy. He's very
Have
edgy.
you guys performed before together?
No, he's tried stand up before. When we first started dating, he wanted to try stand up, and so I encouraged him. Secretly, I was like, oh God, what if he gets on stage and he's funnier than me and he has this huge career and like I never get to do stand up again. So we went to an open mic, and so this is actually really a good story. The night before, I said, Jeff, do you want to practice? Do you want to practice your jokes? And he said, no, I got this. Like most men, totally got it. No problem. Don't need to practice. I was like, okay, you don't need to practice. So the next day we went to an open mic. As you know, a lot of comedians are Jewish, especially in New York. The guy who went on before my husband made a joke about Hitler, I think. And then Jeff gets on stage and decides to riff on the Holocaust. And there's dead silence. And then he just immediately gets off stage because he's like, oh, wow, that did not go well. So I was like, sweetie, you should have practiced. You should have practiced a little bit before you did that. Yeah, so that gives you a good idea of like my husband.
Yeah, no, he should really be thoughtful about that subject and knowledgeable.
Yeah, exactly. It's a hard thing to make it.
Tell me about the work you have coming up.
I have a lot of things coming up that I'm not allowed to talk about, which kind of sucks.
Okay.
It's just like all in flux, and trying to, eventually all things will be announced. I mean, I don't like to be a tease, but there's a lot of things.
No, don't. No, you don't want to mess with anything that you're working on. How has it been for you as a comedian? I mean, so much of it is about feeding off of, to your point, it is a communication process, right? And feeding off your audience. How's it been in the midst of the pandemic?
I think it's been kind of a blessing and a curse because, I couldn't do what I was doing before, but it was a blessing in that I couldn't do what I was doing before, which was working okay, but it wasn't working as well as what worked so well when I tried doing these videos. And so I think sometimes something happens that makes you stop and pause and try something new. And that's what the pandemic did. I was stuck at home and I decided to try something new and different just because I couldn't go get on stage anytime I wanted. And so trying something new and different led me to having this conversation with you, which I think is kind of a good lesson for all of us, is like, sometimes if something isn't working, you need to go out and try something different.
Go on.
Yeah, no, you know where this is going. We need to try something new.
Well, we need to try something new. But here's the thing about your talent and your skill and your gift. To speak the words of Donald Trump from the face, from the mouth of a Black woman is so profound, because it is still raising, it is raising the issues that we need to talk more about in this country, which people have been marching, and there's a heightened awareness, at least better than there had been perhaps before.
Yeah.
But, can you imagine a Black woman of Donald Trump's age? Now here, listen to this. A Black woman of Donald Trump's age having cleared Lafayette Park and then walking past that fence to the church holding up the Bible the way he did?
Yeah,
as
and somebody
President of the United
asking,
States,
is that
can
your
you
Bible?
imagine how people would have responded?
No, of course.
It's extraordinary. No. This is so beautiful about what you do, because on the face of it, on it just the first glance of it, it's just hilarious. But it's so profound, because what you are also showing is that still in America, it will be the face that speaks the words will have a lot to do with the translation of the speaker, speaker and the words being spoken.
Exactly.
And it's so brilliant what you've done.
We see, I mean, we don't see with our eyes, we see with our mind, we see with the things that come with our experiences and the patterns that we have developed in our head about who's successful and who's not successful. I mean, this is something women deal with in Silicon Valley all the time. If you aren't Mark Zuckerberg and you don't walk in with, flip-flops and a hoodie, then you're not going to be a billionaire. And so I think that's the sad thing about it, is that you realize the BS when it comes out of my mouth, because your mind is like, wait a second, she's a woman, she's Black, she's probably, I don't know, she's trying to pull something over on me. Whereas when a rich white man with people behind him nodding and a podium and people calling him sir say it, you're like, oh, I guess it must be right, because everybody seems to be agreeing with him. Even though Trump does this awful thing where he will plant people in the audience to clap and laugh, and it plays a trick on your mind that you think you're the crazy one because you think it sounds insane, but no one else. You look around and everyone's clapping and laughing, and you're like, oh, I guess I'll clap and laugh because everyone else is. And so he's really played a huge trick on us.
But that's also the brilliance of your timing in doing what you've done, because that was my fear, that would happen in the beginning, that people would start to become accustomed to it. And frankly, to your point, they did.
They did.
And everybody needed a little jolt to remember, this is not normal. And this is not right. And wait, this is crazy talk. So, you kicked in with that, with that brilliant idea. It just, I think, the right moment to remind people, listen to what the guy is saying.
Yeah. I mean, it is a little weird though, because people will comment that they are not used to hearing my voice, and so they expect now to hear Donald Trump's voice coming out of my mouth. Or when they see him, they see me when they hear him. It's like this association thing that's a little bit scary, because it's like, I don't want to be associated with him. At the same time, I am now, so I can't really take it back. Because I appreciate the fact that I'm exposing something, but I do want to move on, which is another reason why we should get him out of office, because I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, one of my favorite comedians of all time, and I'm going to date myself and go back, but I just thought she was extraordinarily talented and she had many personas, was Carol Burnett. And I mean, there are so many, or you think of like a Lily Tomlin, or you think but then you fast forward and it's you, and it's a number of other people. But I think it's just about also the room for women in every profession, including comedy, to have the platforms to show the breadth and depth of their skill and their talent. So right now we love you doing what you're doing, but also like the whole 10 tricks to make people think you're smart in a meeting. I encourage everyone to take a look at it. And the first one in just the 10, which was just so smart, was the Venn diagram. And the Venn diagram, one circle is what we know, and then the other circle is what we don't know, but they're overlapping.
That's so awesome. A lot of people don't get that.
It's
a
so
lot of people
funny.
don't get that Venn diagram
You
makes no
can't,
sense.
there's nothing there. There is
Nothing.
no overlap. It's so funny. It's just smart. It's just smart. It's just smart.
Thank you. What do you do to appear smart in the Senate?
Oh, well, I mean, I study.
You study?
I study my, the topic that at hand.
Oh, that's actually being smart. I mean, you are smart. You don't.
Well, I mean, but we work. I study. I prepare. I have an incredible team that helps me study and prepare. And then it's just, but I always say that it's good to be, among the smartest in the room. It is bad to act like you're the smartest in the room.
Absolutely.
Because there's a big divide between one and the other.
Yes.
And usually there is not an intersection of the two.
Right. But it's also that, I mean, what's sad is that the smartest people are also usually the most humble, the most willing to take feedback, the most willing to listen to others. And those are usually the smartest people, but sometimes they don't get heard because they do defer. They do, let other people speak, which is really great. But then sometimes it's like, no, you're smart. You're the one who should be making the decision, so share those ideas, like, speak your mind, don't hold back. And that's kind of like my self-talk, is that I'm always like, oh, I don't know. I always assume I'm the dumbest person in the room. I always assume everyone around me knows more. And sometimes it's just not true. And it just sucks that usually the smartest people are the people who aren't the smartest are the ones that just know how to speak the loudest and sort of get the most attention, even though their ideas really have no value.
I think part of the key to changing your mindset is knowing that when you're in those rooms where you may feel like you're the only one like you, look like you're the only one that looks like you, the only one that has a background that you do, to know that there are a whole lot of people in that room with you, that you carry with you when you walk into that room. Mm-hmm. And that you carry their voice, and it is your responsibility to then express that voice, because it is the voice of all the people you carry in that room with you. Mm-hmm. And do that in a way that you understand it's actually your duty. So it's not about you. It's actually not about you. It's about all those people that you're carrying, and they're with you, and your duty to them.
I feel that so strongly. I remember the first time I was asked to speak at a business conference, and I was scared because I'd never spoken at a business conference before. And I just thought, well, I'm not prepared for this. I'm not ready for this. I'm not qualified for this. And then I looked at who else was speaking, and it was all white men. And, you hear this like over and over again. Why don't we have more women? Why don't we have more people of color? And it's like, sometimes you need to be that person. Sometimes you need to be that person that actually gets up on the stage. And, if you want to see people up there like you, maybe that person is you. If you have the opportunity, you need to take it. And it's a little bit more of a responsibility on our part. It's more on your shoulders, but it is something we have to do if we want more diversity, is take those chances.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But it's not easy.
No,
it's not easy to be the only one like you in the room, but it's, and that's part of what we do, is we, create a path through the success we achieve.
Yeah, and
for more images of what success looks like, right?
Yeah, and it is changing. I mean, there's so many women in government now. I mean, many more than ever have been before, right?
We still have a long way to go. I mean,
yeah.
You look at it, the women are the majority of the population in America, and we are by no means the majority of the population in any of those rooms, be it a Senate room, a hearing room, or a corporate boardroom. We still have a very long way to go. When I was elected Attorney General of California, I was the first woman elected in the history of this, state. And so we're still making a lot of firsts. Yeah. But we will not be the last, and that's the most important thing. So
what do you think about when, women are like this idea that women aren't tough enough to lead or like have the power, the strength that men have? What do you feel about that? Do you think that women need to be more like men, or do you think men need to actually be more like women?
First of all, the toughest people I've known in my life have been women. So, And so it's actually just bullshit. Let's just start there. And, you know, it is, and it's interesting because, you know, you think about there are still myths, right, about what women can and cannot do, right? In spite of what a woman does every day, you know, oh, can women be in charge of keeping you safe? Well, she is that lioness protecting those cubs. Oh, can a woman handle money? She's the one at the kitchen table at midnight balancing the bills. She is the one who is, you know, there just, you can go down the list. So it's a myth.
Yeah.
That I don't subscribe to. And I think the important thing is that we teach our girls, we teach our sisters, we teach our mothers and our aunts and our grandmothers that to not listen to that. And the other thing I'll say, because it's I think an associated point, is we also need to honor and praise women with ambition. You know, there's an interesting dichotomy where you will talk about a man with ambition, right? That's laudable. That's good stuff. And now to your point about turning the thing based on who you're talking about. Okay, then that's one image, a man with ambition. Okay, now there's another phrase I'm going to use, and tell me if you have a different image. Ambitious woman.
Oh, scary, threatening. Oh gosh, what? Why does she want things? Doesn't she have enough?
Right. It's a very, right? And so part of what we also have to teach our children, boys and girls, and teach each other is to praise and encourage ambition in women. That's a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the saddest things that came out of Hillary Clinton losing is people, friends, family that I know, that seeing her lose, impression in their head. A woman can't be president. Because of that, you know, that kind of gave us our answer that it could never happen. And it's just not true. It's just not true.
No. But there's still a lot of ceilings to be broken. But again, with each one of us, achieving the success that we've achieved, you know, you have look, the girls and boys looking at a Sarah Cooper and watching you and seeing something about themselves or the possibility for themselves in what you do, it's an amazing thing. But it takes a lot of courage to do what you do. It takes, because you're breaking glass ceilings in very significant and profound ways. And that's why I guess Donald Trump decided to, what did he do? He canceled you from his Twitter.
He blocked me. I hurt his feelings. I made him sad.
I mean, right. When you have achieved such success that the president of the United States feels the need
he blocked
to do that.
He blocked me 3 years ago. He blocked me way before I made the videos.
Yeah. So there you go. There you go.
I mean, I was appreciative of that though. I wear it as a badge of honor. Yeah. I also wanted to show you my T-shirt.
Okay. Oh, your phenomenal woman T-shirt. That's fantastic. That's great.
That's your niece,
great.
Right?
Yes, it is. Mina Harris.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, Mina, if you're watching.
Yeah. No, it's again, I mean, that's what it is. And of course, the background on what she did it's about the Maya Angelou.
Yeah.
The poem about phenomenal women and celebrating women and allowing women to celebrate themselves as women.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because there's that dichotomy too, where it's not just about, like, don't just put me on a pedestal. It's about also women celebrating themselves for being women.
Yeah.
Right. And being proud of that and moving forward, understanding the power in that. So.
Yeah. So what were you like in high school?
We had a dance troupe.
Oh, you were on dance team? I was on a dance team too.
I was on the dance team. We were called Midnight Magic. That's what we named ourselves, and we sewed our own costumes. So, like, I still have them somewhere. Like, I had this one leotard, long sleeves, and then we sewed fringe down the bottom of the arm, the sleeve, so that when we wear the fringe would come back.
Yeah, I want to see.
And then it was sequins. But with sequins, so we did the sequins. We sewed the sequin strip, and then we sewed the fringe. It was fabulous.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
I performed in the talent show one year. I sang a song. It was awful, but my mother was in the front row just doing this. It was a bunch of stuff. Just a bunch of different things.
Yeah, but you didn't run for office in high school?
I did not. My first office that I ran for was freshman class representative for the Liberal Arts Student Council at Howard University.
Oh, wow.
So that was my first elected office. It was a very tough race. I ran, there was a woman by the name, she's still around and she's so fantastic, Shelley Young from Jersey, and I was Kamala Harris from Oakland. Anyway, yeah. So that's part of the background.
My husband wants to say a quick hi.
Okay.
Jeff, come say a quick hi to Senator Harris and our president.
Hi, Jeff. Jeff, come say hi. Where are you?
Oh, hi. This is Stella.
Hi. Stella?
This is
Stella.
Stella. Hi, Stella. Hi, Jeff. How are you?
Biden and Harris.
Oh, honestly. Okay, Doug has got to say hi.
Oh,
I've been locking him in a closet.
Oh, in that case, I'm saying hi too.
There you go.
That's the suburban version of Jeff, actually. This is the city version of you.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey.
So where are you guys? You're in New York?
We're in Brooklyn, yeah.
Yeah. It's getting better. Lots of better in New York, right?
New York is on the up and up. I mean, we're doing really well, so I'm very happy. Phase 4. So we're very happy. Yeah, Stella's very happy too.
Yes, I think Stella's very happy.
Yeah.
You have your.
Okay, I have to bounce because I have a Zoom in a couple minutes.
Okay. No,
I'm
no
so
problem.
glad we connected. I'm so glad we connected. And
Yeah,
thank
me
you
too.
guys.
Thank you
thank
so
you for
much.
everything you do. Okay.
Thank you.
See you next time, okay?
Nice meeting you. Bye.
Bye.